All right, guys. So listen, I understand that Jim Harbaugh, he's one of the best coaches. They had an interim coach in there. I understand that from that perspective. But there's no way in hell that Michigan might just be one of the most overrated teams I think I've seen so far in this playoff. And again, they're not the most overrated, but they're definitely one of the most overrated. Washington right now struggling with Utah. Florida State again should be losing to Miami right now at halftime. It should be 12-10 um, instead of 10-10 right now, but it is what it is. Um, but Michigan, for the most part, guys, they're exactly who I think they are, right? Joe Clack coming on here and saying that this is a pass-centric offense first, that the offense runs entirely through J.J. McCarthy. Well, what did J.J. McCarthy do today? He had 60 yards passing and over close to 40 yards rushing. He had over 100 total yards of offense, while Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and the offensive line did the majority of the work. Now, listen, you can sit up and say, that Michigan's a complete team when they don't have to necessarily throw the football out. They can if they want to. Listen, Michigan is exactly what they were last year, right? Michigan had a lot of success last year where they threw the football effectively and efficiently enough, right? Now for the most part, they didn't have to rely on the run game every game in order for them to win games. They could also rely on their passing attack to win, right? Michigan is a really, really good football team. But at the end of the day, they're playing in one of the most overrated conferences right now in the country. I don't think the Big Ten Conference, like everybody in the playoff committee and what every analyst is saying, is the undisputed best conference. I don't think that's the case. Now, listen, I'm an SEC fan. You guys know I'm a Bama fan. I don't think the SEC is the best conference. This is the one year where I do believe that there's not. I don't think that there's one defined conference this year. Now, I will say that there are better offenses in certain conferences compared to what Michigan is going against in their conference. Because let's be honest here, the best offense that they've played against is Maryland. Penn State has an anemic offense. That's nothing to scoff at. They have an anemic offense. They have a great running game, and they have an elite defense. Just like how Michigan has a great running game, but an elite defense. The only difference between these two squadrons is that I think that Michigan right now has a little bit better personnel on the offensive line than Penn State does. And I think they have a better quarterback. They have a better quarterback than Penn State does. And you saw tonight, Drew Allar, when it mattered the most, couldn't make plays. He couldn't make the throws needed in order for them to progress. And that's always been Penn State, right? Now, Penn State, that's always kind of been Penn State, where they've always missed something very, very important in order for them to get over the hump, right? Because before, Penn State had great offenses, and they had above-average defenses, but it just wasn't enough for them to get over Ohio State and Michigan in certain years in order for them to obviously get into the college football playoff. There's always something holding that program back. You can also make an argument that James Franklin has held that program back because of his conservative-ass game management and his style, very similar to Sean McDermott for the Buffalo Bills. That's a different discussion for another day. But still, his conservative ass has cost that team a lot of games. You can make an argument for it. But I just watched this Michigan football team. I just watched this overall Michigan-Penn State game, and I'm just not impressed. I'm not impressed for what I've seen. This is what we've always known what Michigan is. Now, the question is that can you do that, what you just did? Can you do that against Georgia? Can you do that against Texas? Can you do that against Alabama? Can you do that against Washington? You should do that against Washington. But, again, the best offense you played against was Maryland. We've seen what happened where we thought, okay, you know what? Michigan's defense is great. Their run game is great. They should crush TCU in the playoffs. All of a sudden, TCU has that month of preparation, and TCU puts up 50 points on a Michigan team that everyone thought was going to be going to the national championship game and have that rematch and have a low-scoring game with Georgia. So truly, we know what Michigan is. I don't know if Michigan is at that level. I don't know, and again, Michigan fans, you can dog me all you want. It is what it is. But if you can just take off the biased glasses, take off the biased lenses for a damn second, and actually take a look at the bigger picture, do you truly believe right now that Michigan's defense is going to shut out Washington, or they're going to shut out Texas, or they're going to shut out Oregon? Do you think that J.J. McCarthy is going to be the quarterback that's going to take you to the next level? And yes, a lot of people are comparing them to 2021 Georgia. People are comparing to 2021 Georgia. Listen, Georgia won the national championship, granted. But look what happened when they went up against the great offense in Alabama when Jamison Williams and John Mechie was healthy. Alabama put up 40 points in that damn defense against a great, all-time great Georgia defense. And the only reason why Georgia got in the playoffs in the first place was because Oklahoma State couldn't seal the damn deal against Baylor. Otherwise, they would have been out. So you can't keep. So at some point, J.J. McCarthy and that offense has to win them football games. They just can't simply just rely on the running game and the offensive line and the defense to automatically win. They can't keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. No matter how great their defense is, at some point, Styles can win matchups, right? Styles can win football games. And going against the wrong team sometimes can cost you, like how TCU did. Now, we'll say this. Let's give Michigan some credit. Everyone kept saying, let's see how they look against an actual team in Penn State. And they did a good job. It was 24-15, right? Kind of more of a garbage TD where Penn State had a chance to try to get back into the game. If they had a chance to kind of get back into the game a little bit. I know it was 24-15, so it wouldn't matter anyway. They scored a touchdown. It would have been like, what, 22 or 20? I mean, it wouldn't matter. But Michigan's defense held up there into the bargain. The rushing attack held up into the bargain. But the passing attack was nowhere to be seen. It was nowhere to be seen. J.J. McCarthy did what J.J. McCarthy has always been doing. And that's playing like a game manager. And I think the question is, will that cost them? Because they will beat Ohio State. Ohio State's offense is anemic. It is disgustingly, it's shit. I think Michigan has a better offense in my personal opinion. I would rather roll with J.J. McCarthy than Kyle McCord. So they will beat Ohio State. But the question is, when you get into the college football playoffs, what are you going to do against Georgia? If Alabama if Alabama beats Georgia, what are you going to do against Alabama? What are you going to do against Texas if they get in? What are you going to do against against Oregon? Because I think Oregon will crush Washington. What are you going to do against those teams where not just their defense can play really, really well, but their offense can also match up? What are you going to do? Because this is not the Big Ten. This is not Iowa or Indiana or Maryland. This is not any of that shit. It's a different ball game when you're in the college football playoff. And what we've seen for 2 years now is Michigan shit the bag. Or they fumble the bag when it mattered most. TCU and Georgia. Huge expectations going in and came out disappointed, embarrassed in front of the national audience. So we'll really see what this Michigan team is going to look up to. I expect this Michigan team to go undefeated. I expect Michigan to go ahead and make it to the college football playoffs and potentially even be the number 1 seed. But I just think that just watching this team goes, I just don't think they're as good as what everyone's making them out to be. I don't think that this team is good as what everyone is making it out to be. But hey, that's just my opinion. Michigan fans, I guess you can go cuss me out in the comments, or maybe some of you will agree with my take. We'll see. Penn State fans, I don't know what to tell you guys. You need to fire James Franklin. He's going to get you 9-10 win games, but he's never going to take you up to that next level. Trust me, I'm dealing with a similar problem with Sean McDermott as my head coach. So it is what it is. But he's never going to get you to that top level. Got to deal with that.